What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the hoetohusbandpodcast. I'm your host, Terry DeRon. I got both of my co-hosts on the line tonight. I got my man, Jay Bavo. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Looking forward to a great episode tonight. But quick shout out to the UK and Ghana. See, we're ranked that podcast on the relationship side over there. So shout out to them for supporting us. But if you haven't already followed us, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube as well as follow us on TikTok at the Hold Husband Podcast. And for anybody interested in a promo or advertising with us, you can shoot us a DM at Hold Husband Podcast as well as email us at hoetohusbandpodcast@gmail.com. All right, T.
Also got my man SD in the building. What's good, man?
Nothing, man. Excited about this episode. I'm looking forward to this one, so we'll see how it go. But I want to give a shout out to Brother Soul Productions, always keeping the background audio fresh. And I want to remind you all to donate to the Hold a Husband Podcast on Cash App and PayPal. All right.
I want to remind everybody, y'all can catch the audio playback of the podcast every Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on the core94.com. Tonight's episode is titled The Cost of Divorce. We're going to be bringing on a guest tonight and talking about the process of a divorce from a male perspective. So I'm interested in that conversation, but y'all know how we do it around here. We like to discuss stuff that we've seen trending or things that have gone viral. And so I saw this clip from the Poor Minds podcast where they were talking about guys that are really pressed for pussy that when they meet a woman. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
My first thought when a nigga is pressed for pussy is like, you a lame. Because why you so pressed? Nobody wants to fuck you. Because I always feel like when you meet a new nigga, everybody fucking somebody. I'm still fucking my ex.
Right.
Because I don't want to fuck you yet, but I'm done with that nigga. I'm just trying to move on.
Right.
So you so pressed for my pussy, like nobody is fucking you. Why?
Why?
Why? Okay. You ain't even getting your little dick sucked a little bit. Why?
A little bit. So what you be thinking, sis? What you be thinking?
Honestly, I haven't really been outside dating niggas for a while, but I'll say for me, it's like you said, you're lame.
Yeah.
Or I don't like a man that doesn't have sexual discipline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's huge.
That's
okay,
sexy.
I like that.
I like a man who has sexual discipline.
That's
Like, I like a man that will tell me no, because that's going to make me look you hard.
Right.
Tell me no, baby. I'm going to be like, take them pants off, daddy.
Come on, daddy.
I'm trying to say something.
Yeah.
All right, man. So we talk about this all the time, man. One of the best ways to get pussy is to not press a woman for it. Like, let it come to you. Just stay around, put yourself in position to get it. But I can definitely relate to what the women were saying. Like, that's definitely a red flag. And that's something I learned just from watching other dudes. I would see how women reacted to the super thirsty dudes. The dudes that's all on them in the club and all pressed, you know what I'm saying, to be around them and all that. That always made it easier for me to smash a chick because I was the opposite.
Yeah, you know what? One thing I do disagree with them with is when she said, "Tell me no." That make me want to do it. Fellas, listen. If that's a woman that you ain't hit yet, don't you dare tell her no when she come to you and try to get it. If it's your woman and she wants some, if you tell her no, you won't get none for a month. Trust me. Don't listen to that. But act like it's not like you when you are like a secure dude and you know you can get chicks, you just don't behave like you thirsty for it. So that's what they really mean. Like, you know, when she said having dick discipline or sexual discipline. Like, I'm not pressed for it. When I go out with a woman, I ain't on her, rubbing on her thighs and trying to grab her titties and all that. Nah, I'm just sitting there chilling. I'm gonna make you want me by me being so nonchalant and cool about the sex aspect of it. Because to me, if we vibing and we get there, it'll happen if we vibing like that. So there's no need for me to be thirsty. So I do agree with them when they talking about dudes being lame. We see them all the time in the comments telling these here chicks they don't even know that they wifey material, that they trophies, that they'll eat gummy bears out their booty hole, and don't even know these chicks, man. Like, how are you saying this on social media for everybody to see just because she's pretty? That is lame, man. They so thirsty that, you know, it really puts the guys that really know how to handle women, and it's typically the hoes and the players out here, right? That really know how to handle women. Yeah, that's why they can be hoes, because they know how to operate around women and what women actually want. So they let those dudes do what they do. Those 400, 500, 600 dudes under their pictures, and the dude that ain't really pressed like that, he just sit back. That's the dude she really want to throw it to right there. Jay, what you think about that?
No question. But, it goes so, dudes being pressed for sex. There's a lot of dudes out here that's basically panhandling for panties out here. SD, you talk about this all the time of having dick discipline. And I'm going to tell you, it works. I can tell you from firsthand experience, and I've learned this early. Like, I'll give you a quick example. I'm texting, wrapping up with a chick back and forth for a couple of weeks. And one day she texted me, she said, hey, I'm really feeling you. We've been talking here and we never talk about sex. So I think it's time we talk about sex. And well, hey, it went down that night.
Yeah, you gotta allow them to feel comfortable with it. But ladies, don't get it twisted. There is a timeline. You know what I'm saying? Like, most guys are not gonna press you for sex, but a woman, if there's no signs of progress towards sex, a lot of guys are not gonna continue to give you their time and attention. Like, he can't hug you, he can't, as if I'm with a chick where I can tell that we're gonna have sex, after that first date, the hugs is different and more intimate, and you can touch, what I'm saying? Like SD was saying, now you can touch her thigh, you can hold her hand, like you can do things to facilitate getting on that level with the woman. But like I said, you gotta be able to peep the time and to not rush it.
Fellas, what would you say would be a fair threshold to know if a chick's interested, if she wants to have sex or not? I would say 2 to 3 weeks. If there's no progression by then, I would just take it as she's just not interested in having sex with you.
Man, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. Like, I really don't like, since I've been like different as a man and I stopped like running around so much, I don't really even think about it. Like, because if I go out with a chick, right? I like her. Like, I like the way she look. I like the way she carry herself. Now I'm gonna go out there and see how she really is, because that's like her representative. So I ain't really thinking about it like that. I'm just not. That's why I don't even bring sex up. When I start talking to a woman, I let them bring it up. When they bring it up, then I know hey, I can go ahead and send you this picture real quick, because now they done brought it up. But before that, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to bring it up, because I kind of want to get to know where her head is at, because I don't want to really get into it with a chick that could be crazy or not all the way there or whatever the case. So I don't really think about it like that, man. To be honest with you, when I go out with a chick, I want to do it. Don't get that twisted. But don't get it twisted. But it's just a certain way that I maneuver and I handle it now. So, I
mean, back when I was single, I would always I found ways to steer a conversation to it indirectly. Like, I would be on the phone with chicks and I would challenge myself to create scenarios. Like, for example, I'm just on the phone chopping it up with a chick. I'll just bust. Oh, that's crazy. What you know? Oh man, I'm watching this movie. Man, this woman just got some head in her office from her coworker. So I'll create a scenario and then I'll discuss the scenario and steer the conversation kind of where I want it to be, like through there. Like, man, what's the craziest thing you ever did at work? You know what I'm saying? Like, and just find ways to manipulate the conversation that way. But you can tell, like, body language and chemistry, sexual chemistry is a very real thing. So if I'm around a woman, if you're around someone that actually finds you physically attractive, it's almost a guarantee that you're going to get there if the situation presents itself.
Yeah. So you're talking about like the energy. Like, I can tell if a woman is into me, right? I can tell she into me, but I don't want to, push the envelope, because you can mess yourself up. A lot of dudes do mess themselves up by jumping too quick into the sex talk or sex realm of things with a woman that they just trying to get to know. So I can feel you and feel your energy and how you talk to me, how you deal with me. If you call me, if you reciprocate my energy and different things like that, I can feel it. I know, I can tell, hey, if we keep down this path, I know that it'll happen eventually. I'm just not the one that brings it up like that and harp on the sex part of it, because I'm actually trying to get to know shorty and see what's up with her. So, but once she bring it up, hey man, it's ball game then.
Yep.
You know. All right, man. Let's keep things rolling now. This next video that we're gonna be looking at is actually dispelling a very common myth where there's this belief that Black men in general find all these other races of women to be more attractive than Black women. And we see that they're having a conversation about it. Let's take a listen.
These comments, they saying us Black men, we get successful and get a white woman. Would y'all want to speak on that?
I'll definitely speak on that.
And that's sad. That hits me in the chest.
It hit you in the chest?
Yes, it did, because it's sad, because they're not saying, I think white women are beautiful. They're not saying, I have a preference for white women. They're saying that in rebuttal to this conversation because they're tired of the Black woman that won't go to the gym. They're tired of the Black woman that doesn't have a hot meal ready when he comes home from work. They're tired of shit like that. So they say, you know what? Where can I go now?
You ready to get you one?
What can I do now? Because every Black woman I encounter got that attitude. I don't need you. I don't want you. I don't got to. Girl, I don't got to cook. You doing too much. That's the attitude that have us by ourselves. And I think that's a cop-out too. You by yourself because don't nobody want you. And now you just saying you don't get attached.
Ooh, this is pain for their heads. I wish I could say that she was lying or what she was saying is not true. Me personally, I'm married to a Black woman and I've only dated Black women. But a lot of the issues and complaints that are common in comedy and, you know, these guys that dress up like women and do these skits, they're you know, portraying actual situations that men have to deal with. And it's very challenging as a man to deal with Black women. You have to put up with a little extra. You got to put up with some additional things because as Black men and women in America in particular, the remnants of white supremacy and slavery is like a cloud over Black love and relationships. And it really impacts the finances and everything that contributes to a household overall. I don't think most guys, like they said, just want a white woman, but I do think there are a lot of guys that are frustrated with what they experience dating Black women.
Well, I want to say this real quick. All right, the vast majority of married Black men are married to Black women. 85% of Black men who are married to Black women. And I think it's 80% that make over $100,000 are married to Black women. So this here, it's really a myth, right? Even though Black men are married out the most at like 15%, and the next highest man that's married out is the white guys at like 1.5%. So it's a big difference. But I think that it's not all Black women like she kind of alluded to by saying all the Black women I know. Of course, it's not that. But nowadays, it's becoming more prevalent, and it's a large number of them that say, I don't need you, I just want you. And that's one of the things for me that is a complete deal breaker when a woman tells me, I don't need you, right? Because I've said this time and time again. The word need means that something is essentially important to you. If you don't view a man or me as essentially important to your life, I have no room here. I have no business here. Do it all by yourself. That's how I leave those types of women, because the attitude ain't right. Like this here woman said, the mindset ain't right. And typically when the attitude and the mindset ain't right, you can see it in the behavior. it plays out in the behavior that you see online. You see the promiscuous behavior, wearing the titties out and all this here, talking how they want, saying all these here different things that men consider unladylike. And then when we try, and she touched on the weight part of it. That's another thing.
We're to get criticized for bringing that up.
Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, and when we try to say, hey, this is going to increase your chances, ladies, because our group of women are the least married and the least likely to get married. Only 25% of them are married. So if you say, man, y'all need to get in the gym, 62% of y'all should be obese, 75% of y'all should be obese and overweight. Get in the gym. Well, they like big women too. You know what? Most men want a woman that's going to be submissive if they want him to lead. Y'all all saying y'all want to do the lead. How can he lead if you're not willing to follow, if you have a problem with being submissive? Because that's what a follower is to a leader. They are submissive. So if you got a problem with that, then ain't no point for me to be here. And a lot of black men are saying, okay, cool. We told you what we wanted. We told you what we needed. And you are basically giving us the finger and saying, forget you. Cool. Passport bros, here I come. I'll go over here and get me a woman that's more traditional in the sense that the men want their women to be. Or I'll go get a woman that was raised more in a family atmosphere, whether it's the Latinas or the Asian women or the white women that these here black dudes are going to get. It's not because they necessarily prefer those women. It's because a lot of men have asked and begged and pleaded with black women to become what we want. And we haven't got it. So now it's like, okay, forget it. We're going to go over here. I know that was long-winded, but that's, you know what I'm saying, what it is.
No, all great points there. I think you hit on, I think most black men and black women married, I think you said 85% of black men marry black women. And I think for black women, it's even higher. I think it's closer to, I think it's 88 or 89. It's closer to 90% of how many black women marry black men.
93, right. 95, something.
So I think what it is I think it's a lot of the media pushes, interracial couples. Like, for example, you see this with a lot of celebs, commercials, celebrities. So they push the perception that, hey, black men are just giving up on black women altogether and marrying white women, Latino or non-black, period. So I think that's another thing that we have here. So what she's saying is all black women. It's definitely not all black women, but there's definitely a percentage of black women and it's been like this because they've been pushing, obviously the media's pushed an agenda for 30, even 40 years of everything she just said of black women. And it's been mass promoted here. I think that's the problem we have.
That combativeness, the argumentative attitude, there's a lot of women are unfairly portrayed to be that way because I know, like, for example, with my wife, she's really sensitive about complaining at work or when she's dealing with coworkers or whatnot, because she's one of the only black women. So she has this angry black woman syndrome. And she can say something's a dumb idea and they'll respond totally different than if a white person suggests it. Right. And that's a real thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's real. So she has to, and then she works for an international company where she has to do conference calls with like men in the Middle East and Germany and whatnot. And some of these cultures don't respect women just in general. So at work, she has a lot of those kind of challenges to deal with. And we went to a HBCU, and so I'm very familiar with the differences in how black women are treated in the workplace. Even though they're capable, they have the skill set and all that, they have to monitor their hair, everything about them. They kind of have to tone down to fit in.
T, I just want to touch on real quick about the difference between going to an HBC as opposed to a PWI. With the PWI, you look for diversity, and you kind of just end up hanging with the same circle of black people. Whereas an HBCU, like, the race part is eliminated. All you see is black. It has diversity, but there's no race. All you see is other black people from, different walks of life at an HBCU. So I guess, it's hard when you're going into the job force and that's not all you see.
Yeah, it definitely don't represent the job force for the most part.
Yeah, man. But I want to say, like I'm all for people marrying who you want to marry.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to marry a white dude or a white woman or whatever, man, do your thing. And for black women, like for black women, it's so tough for them to get married anyway, right?
True.
And it's this here this myth that black men don't want to get married that's out there also. But according to the statistics, black men is 600,000 more black men married than black women, even though black women outnumber us by over 3 million.
Wow.
So the black men want to get married, and it was a study just done by Harvard for black people who wants to get married, and more men said, "Yeah, I would like to get married," than women.
Yeah,
so
it
ain't that these men don't want to get married. It's just that it's becoming tougher to find and to get black women that are actually marriage material for the men that are marriage material.
You know what? I just want to touch on that real quick, what you just said. And what's even worse here, black men want to get married, but it's almost like black men can't have standards. It's almost taboo for a black man to have, hey,
we know that.
Esther, you say this is what I want. Hey, I want a woman that's feminine. Hey, in shape. And that's almost taboo. They look at you like, when you go say that, especially when I see when you go speak of these conversations, they look at you like you're crazy when you say this. They'll look at you like
anything you say where you eliminate certain women or you're letting them know that you're not interested in them, it's almost instantly met with disrespect or some type of backlash. So, but yeah, we've seen it all over social media. It's one of those double standards, right?
But I don't care. I still tell them, listen here, I don't care. You too big, sweetheart. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You a 3. You a 3. I'm sorry. Like, it's like, I'm not gonna lie to you.
But it's like they want us to have perpetually low standards here. That's basically what they want us to have.
For us to them, because the fact of the matter is this. This is the fact of the matter. I just seen a woman on Kendra G's show say she wanted a man that was 6'3" and made at least $500,000. At the very least, right? Anything else is unacceptable. But looking at her, she's average at best. And so I posed the question, like, hold on, wait a minute now. You average. Your financial equivalent to your looks is about 60,000. That's your financial equivalent. And the women got upset. Some of the women were upset. Like, why would you say that? Because it's true. If you saying, okay, she makes 500,000, why would she date a man that makes 60,000? Because a man that makes 500,000 can get tens. So you want him to settle on you. That's what a lot of women want. They want the men to be up here and settle on them being out of shape, settle on them having horrible attitudes, settle on them having horrible mindset just to be with them because they got titties. It don't work like that. And reality slaps them in the face the older that they get.
And there's only a small percentage of those men, less than, I think it's 5% that's 6'3" and above. And that's making that kind of money is about 5%. That's
it ain't
what
5%. You're talking about 0.5%. You're talking less than 8% because just the money alone puts them in the top 1%. Just the money. Now you gotta go to 6 foot, 6'3". You're talking about less than 1% to get that man, and that man has a multitude of options making that type of money. Where he can get down, and this woman had a kid also. He can get dines with no kids that's more cooperative, and because her money. The women don't understand that their money don't make them more valuable to a man that got it already. That don't put you up on a plateau like that for men. It puts men on a plateau for women. And they want us to accept or take what they want from us in them. That's what they want. They want to force us to take into consideration their money because they make it. Because that's what they do for us. And that's just not the case.
All right, man. Look like we up against the clock. We about to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be bringing on our guests and we'll be getting into our conversation for tonight, the cost of divorce. Y'all are tuned into the Ho to Husband podcast. We'll be back in a moment.
Hi,
I'm relationship coach and author Terry Duran, and I am pleased to announce that my book, It's Not That Complicated, is finally available as an audiobook. So if you don't like to read or you just don't have time to read a paperback book, this audiobook is perfect for you. You can listen to it while you're in your car, while you're at work, etc. In the book, I break down how husband material men think and operate in regards to sex, love, and relationships, and I provide real quality insight on how husband material men approach dating. The audiobook is available on audible.com and on iTunes. All you have to do is go to one of the websites and search for my name, Terry Duran. Go download your copy today. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Ho the Husband podcast. Tonight's special guest is on the line. We got my man Bryant, aka Sophisticated Arrogance. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going, fellas? Thank you for having me.
Not a problem, man. Not a problem, man. We've been looking forward to chopping it up with you. Tonight's episode is titled "Cost of Divorce," so we wanted to bring you on to discuss the topic in detail. But before we get into the discussion, can you let the audience know a little bit about you, your background, etc.?
Yeah. So my name is Bryant. I am the founder of Sophisticated Arrogance, which is a men's lifestyle blog, mostly concentrated on relationships and value building. You can find me on Instagram at sophisticated.arrogance. You can also find me on Facebook, sophisticated.arrogance.
All right, man. I know I saw on your page that you were going through a divorce, and so I wanted to get you on here so we could chop it up and ask some of the questions that other men won't answer, or guys that have never been in that situation wanting to discuss. So the first question that I wanted to ask is, what do you think was the main cause of the divorce?
What was the main cause of the divorce? I would say fairy tale expectations. I would say
on your part or her part.
Come on.
Come on, man. What kind of question is that,
Jay? When I say fairy tale expectations, also it's the inability of communicating like your wants and needs in a relationship. I'd say personally for my marriage dissolving, I'd say a lot of it had to do with not really understanding each other's love language. And I'll get into that in a bit. And then just the belief that we have nowadays that partners are replaceable, because we want that immediate happiness. We want to be happy all the time, and we don't want to work through difficult situations. Right? If I had to sum it up, that would be like the cause for the demise.
Okay. Would you? Well, how long did y'all date before you got married? Like, how long did y'all know each other before y'all actually got married? And how long were y'all married?
Interestingly, we were together probably about 6 years, married for about like 3.
Wow.
Did y'all have any children together?
No.
I guess that made better for the divorce, right? Not having kids.
Yeah, we both had children from previous relationships.
So with the kids from the previous relationship, are they grown now?
Yeah.
Okay, so it didn't factor into it, because I've heard of sometimes during divorces that, you know, when a stepfather or mom takes over or whatever as the now parent, sometimes they have to pay child support on the back end for the child that's not really theirs. So that's why I asked that.
Yeah, not in my situation. Their father was involved. So
okay, that's good.
Gotcha.
That's good.
So when did you realize that you weren't going to be able to work things out? Like, was it one thing that happened? Was it just a accumulation of things over time? Like, when did you come to the realization that you were going to, in fact, have to get divorced?
Honestly, it all happened really quickly.
Wow.
And that's one of the things I learned from it and I try to warn people about. is that you can have a great relationship over a majority of the relationship. So I'd say 95% of our relationship was great. It was the end, and the end happened real quick. Within a 3 to 5 month period of time, everything fell apart.
Jeez.
No issues, no issues, no arguments, no fights until the end.
So do you think y'all grew apart, or do you think, hey, we just shouldn't have never got married in the first place?
I will say, here's what's interesting, right? Because I feel like when people say grew apart, it's a cop out. It's not that you grow apart; it's that you want different things, and you're putting yourself first instead of the marriage. It becomes my happiness matters. I want to be happy all of the time. Immediate gratification.
Right.
Yeah.
But happiness is relative, really.
Yeah, but it don't matter, because I did a survey where I asked the women. I said, if you were only happy 50% of the time in a marriage, would you stay in that marriage? I think like 65% of women said no. And I asked them, I said, what's more important to you, your happiness or the commitment that you made in the marriage? Almost 60% of women said, my happiness is more. So then I follow up and I say, well, how often does your mood change on your own as a single woman? Right? And these here women said 4 to 5 times a day by themselves. So my thing is, how do a man keep a woman happy all the time?
It's impossible.
Whose mood and emotions change 4 or 5 times a day on their own, bro? It is almost impossible.
Exactly. And the thing is, happiness is such a relative term because everybody's going to define happiness differently. So if you ask one woman, hey, what do you define as happiness? One person's going to say one thing, another person's going to say another thing.
Yeah, right. But happiness that's an internal job. Like,
yeah,
I understand that you have standards and expectations of your spouse or your partner. That's perfectly fair. But a lot of the times, like you mentioned, one of the first things that you said was fairy tale expectations. Well, that's a problem within itself because fairy tales aren't real. Lives, every relationship is not going to be happily ever after, etc. And so when you're talking about maintaining a marriage and a family and a household in the real world, you're going to have problems, you're going to have bills, you're going to have money, car trouble, like you're going to have all types of situations that you have to navigate through. And if both people are not, like you said, don't have the right mentality and are not making the sacrifices necessary for the relationship to last, it's virtually going to be impossible to reach that point.
Hey, who filed? Did you file or did she file for divorce?
It was me.
It was you?
It was me that filed. But I mean, that's all semantics. I mean, like I filed, but I didn't technically end the divorce.
What you mean?
Wanted to call it quits. She wanted to call it quits, but she didn't file. Like I filed. If I didn't file, we'd probably still be married.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So,
we separated.
Gotcha. So, like, what was your contribution to the divorce? Like, what was the straw that broke the camel's back where you guys said, you know what, this is it. We can't reconcile here.
All right, man. Me and her are in a good place right now, so I'll try my best not to
okay. No.
Yeah. Don't.
Gotcha.
No feathers, man.
But it's as men, we all know we want to be respected. It's when a woman is blatantly disrespecting you. Then you have to make a stand, because if you stay there and you deal with it, then that lets a woman know you to do this. And I think that situation for me, because of my emotional intelligence, I'm able to move really quick. So it's like when I see something I don't like and I confront it and you continue to do it, then I had to make a decision for myself. So I moved out. And that's what kind of spurred it. And I think that caught her off guard. She didn't expect me to do that so quickly.
Gotcha.
So then the narrative changes from a woman doing something disrespectful to he had this planned all along, because how did he move so fast? Right?
Yeah.
I think also with a lot of women love to say this about relationships, about, hey, men aren't consistent, right? They start one way, right? And then the dip goes on, right? They don't do what they used to do. But I've learned that that's not really true. I learned it's like a crackhead when they get that first high.
That's a good analogy.
And chasing it, and you can do the same thing, but they'll never get that same high, right? But if someone new comes into the picture, let's say, because now with social media, we have access to anyone and everyone, you know.
Yeah.
If what you're doing every day becomes regular, like if you're going above and beyond every day, it becomes regular because that person is now used to that. But if they get that same treatment from someone else,
it's new,
then
totally different.
And then they brain, and it's like, oh my God, like my husband doesn't do this anymore. That's normal to you now, is you know.
Yeah.
And so that's what happens.
So with y'all being together almost 10 years, I'm sure y'all had friends. You know what I'm saying? How did that impact your mutual friends that y'all have? Did it change the dynamics of some of y'all relationships?
Strangely enough, we didn't have a lot of mutual friends, which I think was actually good. We kept, like, I had my own friends. She had her own friends. My friends knew her. Her friends knew me. When the separation occurred, everybody went their own way. My friends went with me. Her friends went with her. It wasn't a bad separation. It wasn't full of like anger or violence or bitterness. It really wasn't. It was, you know, like, okay, I'm going my way.
So when you meet the divorce lawyer, like how did the financial talk go? Like, do you have to give, like, you know, men are usually the ones that get screwed when it comes to divorce. So how did that? Yeah, I was gonna say the alimony, the support, the assets. How did that go?
It wasn't easy. She didn't want anything.
Wow.
Man, that's rare.
You don't really hear that.
Huh. How long did it take how long did the process take from beginning to end to where you was like, okay, now we've officially divorced? Because
she didn't want anything and we didn't have kids. It took 3 months.
Oh man.
It was us going in and just signing paperwork, and that was it.
That's like a probation period at a job.
It was to the point that we didn't even have to show up to court. We just went on the Zoom just like how we are here and just said, hey, the judge says, hey, you want to divorce her? Yeah. You want to divorce him? Yeah. Okay, signed.
What if you say no?
Then it becomes contested, and then you got to get all these lawyers involved.
Really?
Wow. Yeah.
Somebody can refuse to divorce you?
Yeah, I didn't know
they
that.
They can refuse to divorce you. They can refuse the grounds on which you're being divorced. Like, hey, certain things like settlement, like, hey, I want money or I want property. They can't like say, I want to stay together, so I'm not divorcing you.
Oh, so the terms of the divorce have to be agreed upon.
Yeah. Yeah. We did that. And one thing I've always known that about her. So, and of course you're always worried because people switch up, but she kept it solid. Like she was who she said she was at the end of the day when it came down to all of that. She was like, I don't want anything from you. She's like, you go ahead and live your life. I'm going to live mine. Like, and so.
So would you do it again?
What, get married?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, because like, even though that one didn't work out, I felt like, you know, I've learned a lot from it. And I felt like, yeah, the marriage may have failed, but I think I vetted properly, because if I didn't vet properly, I'd have been in a situation where I'd be paying alimony and all types of stuff. So I kind of knew.
Yeah, you got out great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, what's the biggest thing you learned from that marriage that, you know, you would do or wouldn't do in the next relationship or marriage?
Understand someone's love language, because it takes 2 people. Like, I could sit there all day now and tell you all the things that she did, but I did a lot of stuff wrong too. So one of the things that I did wrong was not really catering to her love language, right? So I was more of a acts of service love language person, where I would do things for her. You know, maybe go buy her things. You know, if she don't got no gas in her car, you know, go put gas in her car, get her car washed. You know, take care of all of the things for her that she needed done. But then her love language was more so physical touch, where she wanted to see someone and be with you every day. And like, so you can be showing someone that you're loving them, but they're not receiving it, because that's not what they prioritize. And so
Gotcha.
if they're not getting that from you, they will seek it somewhere else.
Somebody else.
Yeah.
That's tough,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I never really thought about it like that. Like, you know, how we like, because I'm an acts of service person too. Like, I like that from a woman, and I tend to do it. You know what I'm saying? But some women, I could see how men could ignore that, or anybody, men or women, whatever, ignore how their person needs to be loved and think that you're showing love because that's how you receive love or you want to be loved. Man, that's you really got to talk. Like, you really do have to communicate. I think you mentioned that earlier, like communicating, man, and asking these here particular types of things and really paying attention to your partner to really see what makes them really get giddy about you in a relationship. That's deep.
I think something that Brian said earlier about the fairy tale expectations. I think the romanticism of love I think that has a real negative effect on a lot of women because of the way they expect men to respond to love. And so I find myself trying to explain to women oftentimes, like, love ain't this magic, thing that just make a man be faithful and ignore all other women and all these type of silly things that we see women expect out of men that love them. A man that loves you, he's gonna put up with shit from you that he wouldn't put up with from nobody else. He's gonna do things for you that he wouldn't do for somebody else. Like, that's how most men show their love for their family and their friends and whatnot. And so a lot of women just don't really grasp that concept. Like, man, the dude's putting up with your bullshit because he love you. Like, but he don't ever get no credit for that. You know what I mean? Like, they expect it to cause a man to operate how they want him to operate, and that's not the case.
Yeah. And I just wanted to point out real quick that, a lot of times when people talk about the causes of divorce, they always say it's money issues or infidelity or abuse. In my case, none of those things occurred. It was just people falling out of love with each other. Or no, let's keep it more honest. It was more so her falling out of love, because for me, I was fine with her. Like, I didn't have an issue. So that's one thing I've also learned too, is like, it's never really a problem in a marriage until a woman has a problem. Because as a man,
that's crazy.
You can say stuff, you can have an issue, but it's not a state of emergency unless a woman has an issue. Then everything has to stop and it has to be resolved. But like I said, for the most part, our relationship, marriage is great, and it just fell apart at the end, right? And then when I look back in retrospect, I will blame myself too, because I could have tried to save it, but I think it was just my stubbornness was like, well, I don't need this. Like, I could just leave and find someone else. So, we didn't even attempt to like really try to work it out. Like, after I separated.
Y'all didn't see a counselor or none of that to try to talk through it?
Mm-mm.
Do you regret that?
I don't really regret it. I feel like going forward in the future, if I was to be in that same situation with someone else, then I might do it differently. But I think what it is because I give so much advice, like, I see the red flags and I know how it's going to play out. And I know when we're at a point where it can't be resolved, right? Because you're doing certain things. So I'm not one of those folks that are like, oh my God, I'm gonna fight for this woman and try to get her back. And I already know what time it is.
Yeah.
Right? Once the woman goes cold on you, that's it. Like,
it's a wrap for you, bro.
That's the time of making it work. Cut your losses, no matter how much it hurts you, because it's the truth. It's like if a woman wanted to make the marriage work, she would fight for it too. If you're fighting for it alone, or your woman is showing you that she's not interested and she's not fighting, you got to call it a wrap. Because from what I've seen is men who do that, who get into that situation where their wife is
begging for her back and all.
And even if you get her back, it's never going to be the same. And she's going to disrespect you left and right.
She ain't going to respect you.
Yep. Exactly. Sometimes you got to let it go and learn your lesson and do better with the next one, right? Because if you try to fix that relationship, right, and let's say that she does give you a second chance, you still got all that back history with her that you still got to clean up. So she's not forgetting anything that you've done to her wrong, anything that she found unacceptable. You had an uphill battle. You can find someone new. You have that same experience, but you have a clean slate with the new person. You can say, okay, everything that I did wrong with this woman, when I get into my next relationship, I know what not to do. And you'll have that clean slate with this new woman because she doesn't know you like that. Meanwhile, if you exhibited those same behaviors with your current girlfriend, what's going to happen is that she still remembers all the stuff that you did. So it's much harder for you to have that doghouse. And I know that a lot of people will disagree with that, and they'll say like, "Oh, but that's wrong. It's it's a marriage, and you're supposed to fight for it." And I agree with that. But fighting for marriage means that both people need to communicate. Once someone stops,
you both got to put effort into it, man.
Ain't nothing you can do. Yeah.
If you the only one fighting, like you said, she's going to disrespect you.
Oh, no question.
Like it ain't because she gonna view you as weak, because she running away from you and you chasing her. That's why men shouldn't chase women. Like if they moving away from you or not giving you that same energy, not reciprocating nothing, man, drop it. Because if you beg and grovel and try to do all this stuff together, she gonna be like, I got this simp. I got him. And she gonna treat you like that. Like that's just the way it is. It's just a matter of time before she outright leave you again. She gonna have somebody on the side most times if she do stay with you, because she don't respect you. Because in essence, you don't really respect yourself when you do that and you go chasing after a woman like that. So yeah, I agree with it, man. 100%, man. Let it go if she ain't working with you. But I do say both of y'all should be fighting for it. If y'all gonna say, hey, okay, baby, let's go to counseling. Okay, cool, let's do that. Then cool. Then both of y'all work towards it because that's perfectly fine. But not if ain't nobody doing no work.
Yeah. And it was a situation where it's like it took us actually a long time to actually file for divorce. Like neither one of us filed right away. It wasn't like, oh, I'm leaving you, I'm getting a divorce.
So you're saying it was
when you first had the issue, you just moved out one day without talking about it? Like how did that timeline?
We spoke about it. And we kept in touch for a little bit after I moved out. But then like over time everything fades. Everything faded.
You like kept in touch. Y'all wasn't like, you know what I'm saying?
We're trying to
stay cordial.
We're trying to be cordial.
Yeah, just cordial. Like y'all, you wasn't taking it to Brown Town no more. You were like, all right,
no, we were just
once that element is out there, stops. I don't really see. You can't go from being married and having sex and then just platonic and expect.
I don't want to talk to you.
Exactly.
Forget you. What I'm talking to you for? We ain't got no kids either. Man, if you don't stop using my unlimited minutes on my phone, man, and get up out of here.
I'll tell you something real quick, funny that's about when I realized that it was the point of no return. Right? So the point that I realized that it was a point of no return is, all right, I've already moved out, right?
Yep.
But I had left some things there, right? So I returned maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, right? To go to the house to get the rest of my stuff, right? So at that point, I knew that we were finished and we were not coming back, because if I come into the house to go into my old bedroom, right? To go get my stuff. And she made me wait outside of the bedroom while she put on clothes. And at that point, that's when I'm like, yeah, we ain't never going back.
Wow. You ain't seeing these titties no more.
No areolas, nothing.
Like, yeah, we're not. She not fucking around. We're not going back.
Yeah. It's a wrap.
Change out the nightgown, the necklace, to put on some jeans and a t-shirt.
I thought you was gonna say the locks was changed. I was like, oh, wow, yeah.
I thought you was about to say you saw some rubbers or something on her dress. like, damn.
You wait in the living room until I put on some clothes, then you can come in the bedroom and get dressed.
Wow. Oh, hey, you know what I'm saying? Whatever.
Well, yeah, I'm glad to hear it was an amicable divorce. That's definitely not the norm. But I've been following you for a while, so the way you process information and your perspectives on conflict and dating and all that, you seem to be really grounded. So I can understand why it wouldn't be this chaotic, scene. But I was really interested to get the ins and outs on what caused it and your perspective on it. I was kind of shocked to hear that it just, blew apart at the end. Now that you think about, when she told you that she fell out of love or didn't want to be with you or whatnot, when you look back, were there changes that you just didn't pick up on or things that you overlooked as time went on?
You know what? Honestly, it's an arrogance to it. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I can fix anything that happens. It's like you see it, but you're able to fix it until a point that it explodes, right? Like you know your woman and you know how to pull her back in, right? So it's one of those where it's like, I can pull you back in. I know what to say to you. I know how to pull you back in. And it just got to a point where she just wasn't hearing it anymore, and so. But yeah, man, it's funny because we can laugh about it now. Like we had a little conversation like after the divorce. We kind of spoke and really said our goodbyes and we said kind words to each other about each other. Like, so it wasn't a relationship when we leave where it's like, this was the worst experience ever and I hate you. It was actually the opposite. It was actually like, yo, we had a great time together. Just like, everything isn't meant to be forever. So that was really said that in the conversation. It was like, I've learned a lot from you. She was like, I've learned a lot from you. You were really great to me. My kids and I appreciate you and, for being a stand-up person. So, and I feel like that conversation wouldn't have happened that way if we would have got divorced immediately after the separation, because that's when you have that hurt, that pain, that ego. You're like, how dare you? She's like, how dare you move out? And then I'm like, how dare you not want to be married anymore? And then you got that anger. But with time, you start to step back from the situation because you're no longer emotionally involved with it. And you start to look and you start to say, you know what? It ended bad, but when you look at the overall picture, it wasn't a bad marriage. It's like we had a
while you were separated, how long did it take for you to start dating other women?
Oh man.
Because I wanted to ask you about your philosophy on heading back to the streets.
Yo, don't do what I did. Like, I probably started dating like 4 months later, but I have a therapist. I had a therapist through the whole thing. Wow. And he always had a rule where he's like, for every year that you've been with someone,
2 years,
take a month to yourself. And that was pretty much what he said. Like, take a month to yourself, right? So I should have took about like 8-9 months, but it took 4. But yeah.
So, like, you still dating, or you not dating, or what? Because I just want to tell you, if you're still dating, it's tough out here, bro. It's tough. It's rough, man. With social media, dude, it's rough out here, man. These heifers don't want to cook or nothing.
I've been, I've dated after her. I've actually dated multiple people after her, and it's been okay. I kind of, try to make sure I deal with certain women. It's all about vetting. It's all about vetting.
Tough.
Yep. Most important process, man.
Yeah, man. Trying to make sure you deal with certain type of women. Man, I'm so used to being, when I was in my whole years and running the streets, just doing whatever, seeing a pretty girl, going after her, doing this, talking to this chick. And now it's like I got so much to lose where I just want to chill, even though the options is there and all that. I still pick through them. Like, nah. I'm straight on you.
You got to. It's a risk.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Like certain things you pay attention to when you've been out here in the game and learning women for so long. It's certain things you pay attention to in these women where it's gonna clash with you at this particular point in your life. It ain't about sex no more. Like, it ain't about me just having sex with you. I want to have sex with you, ladies. But I'm saying it's not all about that. When it's all about that, I don't care what you do. I don't care how you act. I don't care about none of that. You know, when I was in my
the day to day is what really matters, though. Like you're saying, the acts of service, the things that it takes to run a household from day to day, even if y'all don't necessarily live together. If you start seriously dating somebody where you at their crib, they come to your crib, y'all linking up for dinner, y'all doing these things on a consistent basis, there's going to be overlap in your lives. And if you don't like something significant about them, there's going to be almost constant conflict there. So finding somebody that you actually compatible with, that actually you actually want in your space, that was hard to find, you know, because I remember being single. I would always be ready, like, man, she been here an hour already. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd be keeping track of what time she got there and what time she gonna leave and all this type of stuff. So that was one of the things that was different with my wife. I'd be like, damn, it's 2:00. You might as well spend the night. You know what I'm saying? Like, time would just fly by.
It's different. It's a little different. Not like, oh, so what you about to do?
There's one strong piece of advice I'd love to give men who are going through this situation, whether they're divorced, going through a divorce, or they're just separated in a relationship. And that would be to not let it make you bitter, right? You want to immediately shun all women and go to red pill. And, you know, it's really about self-reflection, right? Learn from it. Learn from the experience, right? Think about what you did wrong or what you can do better and incorporate it into your next relationship in the future. Because what she did wrong, or talking about what she did wrong, isn't going to benefit you or make you better. That's just going to make you bitter. True. Because you can't go into a next relationship and make a woman behave a certain way, but you can go into a next relationship and change your behavior and change how you deal with things and situations. Like maybe, this woman she was a gold digger, she was a cheater. All right, good. We understand that she did that, and that may have been hurtful. But how does that benefit you? The only way that benefits you is saying, hey, I dated this woman. Why didn't I see the signs? What are the things going forward that prevent me from dating a woman like this? But going into the next relationship saying that, women are gold diggers, and it doesn't benefit no good. It doesn't benefit you, right? It's about growing. So one of the things that I've grown from this relationship is that, you know, I actually ask women like, hey, what is it that makes you feel love? What are the things that you appreciate being done for you? Because everyone isn't the same. Some women don't care for your gifts, right? Some women just want to hang out with you and spend time with you, right?
Touch you.
Yeah. Where there's some
women, that you was thinking about them.
Yeah. Where there's some women where they don't really care about like the sexual component like that. You know, they want to know that you care about them by doing things like buying them roses or you know, picking them up a card from the store and little things. So you
which rose?
Huh?
Which rose?
I see what you did there.
Which rose you talking about, man? Because hold on now, because if she don't care about the sexual component, she gonna want the rose that rumbles. And I need you to care, boo. I need you to care. We can get the rose that rumbles, but I need you to care. All right, so I get you though.
Yeah, and just making sure she's compatible too. A lot of times with men, we'll get with a woman because we find her attractive, and we'll put up with anything, even though she's not compatible with us. And then wonder why we having problems. It's like you got to force, you know, a square peg into a round.
Gotta have boundaries.
Yeah, man. Hey, that's what it is.
All right, man. Look like we up against the clock, B. Before we get up out of here, man, can you let the audience know where they can find your content?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, primarily sophisticated.arrogance. And then I'm also on Facebook, sophisticated.arrogance. So you can find me on the Shade Room commenting under somebody's post that saying something right.
Just like me.
All right, man. Well, we definitely appreciate you coming on, man. Before we get up out of here, I want to give a shout out to my man, Brother Soul Productions, for keeping us laced with our background audio. I want to remind y'all to continue supporting the podcast through our Cash App and our PayPal. JS Demon, I appreciate y'all linking up with me so we can get this episode knocked out. This has been another episode of the Hold the Husband podcast. Y'all, thanks for tuning in. Peace.